in Agra, there was a big gathering of Anglo Indians. Every second house in that cantonment area had an Anglo Indian family living in it. Because there were a lot of them attached to the military, they were also living. Then we had a whole lot of, men in high places who were running everything at that time because the British had just left India and there was a dearth of administrators. And these Anglo Indians were the ones who were running everything at that time. They were like, post and telegraphs, railways.
When my father was a railway driver, he worked here Taj Express, Tufan Mail. When father used to come, I used to go to the railway station to accompany the train to the shunting yard. They had a turntable where you turn the engine. This is all jackfruit tree. Yeah. Railway colony was a different thing. Like those days, they were Anglo Indian but spread out in different parts of the railway colony. But we each evening, like the ladies visited each other's house, and families were more close to each other. Good job. Come, better come. And, another thing in Agra Kent was, we had a lot of big field where children played. When we were young, we played around, ran around. We used to play cricket here. इन बचपन यहाँ क्रिकेट खेलते थे. यहाँ एक नाली होती थी यहाँ पर उस टाइम. नहीं, ये पूरी जगह वहाँ तक है. नहीं भाई साहब, वहाँ तक होती थी, बिल्कुल सड़क पर जगह वहाँ तक होती थी. और वो गेट वहाँ तक होती थी, लकड़ी की गेट होते थे उस टाइम. पहले बस आती थी यहाँ से, हमें पिकअप करके सेंट पीटर्स कॉलेज में पढ़ते थे हम लोग.
You see, in those days we were actually striking from the main background, like the city itself. We were the striking features. Our ladies dressed in dresses, hats on their heads, high-heeled shoes, speaking English, not speaking the local language. Wherever they went, people used to come running out, Salam Saab, what can we do for you? And they were in high places, as I told you. They all had very high places. So, people respected the Anglo Indians like nobody's business. And why were we standing out? Because of our dress, because of our culture, because the way we behaved.
I was born in the 30s, so we had this joint family all together in Calcutta. And we lived in Ezra Mansion, which was right in the heart of Calcutta, central Calcutta. I started to take notice when I was about the age of 5 or 6, and I realized that we were part of this community which was neither British nor Indian. It was somewhere in the middle. We seemed to have a very restricted circle of friends, and all of us as children growing up, our year was from one Christmas to the next. And as the next day, other than Boxing Day, oh God, another 364 days to go till the next one comes along.
Barracks was built in the year 1918. It was built for the American Army, Garrison Army at that time. And due to some technical reasons, this was kept abandoned at that time. Landowners of Calcutta was Calcutta Improvement Trust, big landowners. So they took over this entire property, and most of the Anglo Indians that were staying nearby in the surroundings all came in slowly, surely. So we had, at that time, we had about 100% Anglo Indians, 100%. Today we have 80% Anglo Indians, 5% we have 5% Chinese, and about the rest is all a mixed community we have,
Come on, open your mouth. Yeah, I'm 63, but I stayed in Bow Street till about 37, and I left from here. But I'm attending Bow Street every day of my life. I attend Bow Street every day of my life, whether I'm born and bred here. when we was young, we used to get two oranges and a small little packet for Christmas as a gift. In our time, we never had celebration. We only used to have a Christmas tree, and that was over. But now this celebration is beautiful, I would say.
We have a dance, a show. We have about 4,000 to 5,000 people.
Yes. We have a lot of people coming from Canada, Australia, London,
All parts of the
everywhere.
world.
From all parts of the world they come here
And there'll be
to
a lot of
celebrate.
little food stuff over here.
We have a
we'll be
food court
selling.
here.
We have a food court, all sorts of.
She'll be selling her wine.
For my friend's a rigger. He works in the rig. He comes every year, this time, mainly for the season, to be more with the family.
They work on the oil rigs.
Yeah, my friend behind, he's also a
He is
rigger.
well, Ashwin. Ashwin, come here.
Ashwin.
Come here, come here. And
Yeah.
these guys work together.
So we have a lot of different craftsmen, like different work.
Different professions, but when it comes to the season, everyone's down together. A lot of them come down from abroad. And
Everyone forget their work.
they leave it
It's
back.
time to party.
Basically, I've grown up in Ripon Street, and my dad's an Anglo Indian. My mom's a Goan, so that technically makes me an Anglo Indian. So we had a few Anglo Indian families, maybe about 3 or 4 in the building. Interaction between these families was there. I mean, we were closer to them obviously than we were to the non-Anglo Indian families. But it's very different. If you look at the neighborhood which I grew up in and the neighborhoods like, for instance, barracks, you have more of a concentration, a higher concentration of Anglo Indians in these areas. So obviously it would be quite different.
I think the most wonderful part of my life, childhood times. We were a large Anglo Indian community over there. Club life, cycling around, shoots with my father, things like that. And then we grew up. When I was growing up, we came to Agra and then finished school in Frank Anthony's. In Delhi, it was a very quiet life because as far as back I can remember as where my parents were concerned. And it was basically work and the Guinea Club, which was the Anglo Indian get together. And that was about once or twice in the month where they used to have, they used to go for Monday evenings tombola or something like that. And I think on a Saturday they used to have get-togethers there at various places, but mostly it was pound parties and meeting up with each other, with the Anglo Indian crowd. You're going to pull me now. It's so...
I personally, this is a view I take that Delhi is not really an Anglo-Indian city. It's Calcutta, Madras, Bombay. These probably would be the ones because they were the ones with the tradition behind them. Delhi only came in to be a city from 1928 onwards. So, and then there have been so many mixtures and influxes of people coming from everywhere that it's not really typically Anglo-Indian, but has a typical Anglo-Indian population or part of the population. In fact, it's one of the areas I think where there's so much integration you cannot tell the Anglo-Indians just by looking at them. There you go.
Which is what was the average score?
Delhi is not the same as Calcutta. It's a very impersonal place over here. Everybody does their own thing. And the distances are so great. In Calcutta, the one thing about the difference between is, in Calcutta, and maybe because of the distances, you never thought two twos about just calling and dropping in on somebody without any prior appointments or anything like that. But in Delhi, when you go over see somebody and you find they're not there, it's a huge wasted journey. So here you have to always be very formal and say, look, are you home? Can we come over? That sort of thing. But That was one of the things in Calcutta. You never worried about dropping by.
आगरे में ओहो गिनती कराऊंगा तो मैं नाम भूल जाऊंगा इतने एंग्लो इंडियन थे अपने तिलक सराय होटल जो है इससे अगल बगल में जितनी भी कोठी बनी हुई है कोई काला आदमी नहीं था टोटली एंग्लो इंडियन थे मेरे को दिन भर हो जाता था सप्लाई करते करते हैम बेकिंग सॉसेज में थक जाता था तो उधर से कैंट जाता था कैंट इनकी उधर से क्वार्टर लेके वहाँ तक क्वार्टर बने रेलवे क्वार्टर कोई काला आदमी नहीं था साइकिल थी सिर्फ अभी भी साइकिल में चल रहा हूँ 75 की एज हो गई अभी भी साइकिल पे मार्च करता था
अभी आप सॉसेज बना रहे हैं कल
कल बनाऊंगा
तो आप 2 किलो से सॉसेज लेके आएंगे उस पर ज़्यादा ये ध्यान रखना स्पाइसेस हरी I still remember I used to come with my mother when we used to come to place the order with Hari and Hari used to make us sit down and he used to show us the different pieces of pork or ham which used to be done for us. So now Hari makes it accordingly. The meat is extra, the fat is less. I'm just joking. He always makes good sausages. That is Hari. This is our old Hari.
अब तो बहुत कम है सब लोग सब चले गए एंग्लो इंडियन है नहीं आगरे में इतनी सब कोई दिल्ली है कोई किधर चला गया तो अब मेरी सप्लाई तो बहुत कम हो गई है
It used to be called Peyton Place. And there was a very famous book, Peyton Place, and it resembled 18 the Mall a lot.
You have to check the sugar, huh? I don't know.
The Anglo Indians all lived over here. So in the evening you can hear everyone's conversation. What's happening, what's cooking, who's eating what, who's disappearing with what, with who, you know, and all these things. And it was quite hilarious, you know.
There was a very funny scene one day. One lady came to have her hair styled. In those days, they used to have really fabulous styled hair, big thing, you know, on the head like that. And Mrs. Holmes was, and she had about 5-6 terriers, small little dogs. And to that lady's bad luck, those dogs were loose. And as she got out of the rickshaw and she went inside, the dogs chased her. Believe it or not, that woman ran, and the first thing she did, she jumped to the tamarind tree and she clung onto the branches. And she was flinging her legs up and down, screaming, "Save me, save me."
18 the Mall, we have our ups and downs, but in a time of trouble, we all come together. They forget the ill feeling and all come to help. That's one thing very good in 18 the Mall. In the middle of the night, if I see a snake and a money shout out, "Tyrone!" Tyrone will come running with a hockey stick.
But before marriage also, we used to, evening time, we used to all go out to play. We used to play hide and seek, then we used to play kick the can. There was never a dull moment, you know, in 18 the Mall.
हेलो आप भी आ जाओ
I don't want
आप के जी
अरे नहीं चाहिए
आप भी नहीं
नहीं अभी तक है तुमने इतना सारा मिर्ची डाला मुझे नहीं खा
मिर्ची ज्यादा मैं डालता कभी नहीं ज्यादा डालता नहीं मैं बिल्कुल
चलान तुमको देगा टेस्ट करने के लिए
आप कम खाता ना इसलिए नहीं अच्छा ये है ना
मैं कम खाता है
इसलिए आपको ज्यादा लग रहा है नहीं तो ज्यादा नहीं डालता मैं
बहुत डाला था
नहीं अच्छा और आपकी कॉलर बनाऊंगा तो आपको दे के जाऊंगा बेकिन बनाऊं
नहीं
कॉलर
Did you know that there's a right and a wrong way to make a cup of tea? No. You first warm your teapot, which I'm going to do now. I remember my very first dance dress that I got. My mother had bought it for me, and it was a big surprise. And what we used to love were the big skirts. You know, this was a sea green dress with a big skirts and all netted. Oh, I thought I was at Cat's Whiskers. Yeah. I mean, our clothes were so different in those days, you know, with the big skirts and the taffetas or the laces. And now, of course, you see everybody in jeans. Skirts, skirts are out of the question.
मेरा दुकान more than 100 years old. We are making only Western dresses. This dress is short, but this is the back is long.
एलिया रोड में पूरे एंग्लो इंडिया पड़ा था। यहाँ पर हर दुकान में ड्रेस का काम होता था, वेस्टर्न ड्रेस का। लेकिन अभी तो सब चला गया। अभी थोड़ा से यही दुकान में ही होता है। आज कलकत्ता में कोई दुकान में नहीं होता है। इसलिए सब दुकान उठा दिया। जब एंग्लो इंडिया चला गया तो क्या करेगा? सब दुकान उठा दिया। अभी सब सलवार कमीज बनाने शुरू कर दिया।
Now I've gotten a lot for skirts and tops because they don't tailor them. They've got used to tailoring the salwar kameez.
This is called towel dress. This design never becomes old.
सुबह होने से 8 बजे खाली एंग्लो इंडियन रिक्शा में जाता था, खट खट कर करके चप्पल पहन के जाता था। लेकिन अभी कोई दो एक ठो ही नहीं देखने मिल रहा।
One of the traditions we have lost. One is you've all come into salwar kameez and pajama kurtas and things like that. That was never a tradition earlier. The Anglo-Indians dressed like Anglo-Indians ought to dress, you know. So if they were working in as secretaries and things like that, you know, where they had to wear their own clothes, they invented their frocks and coats and skirts and, you know, make up very well and do their work. You know? But one of the things that changed was dress. That's one thing. They have started to dress and it's encouraged also. You can't help it, right? Like in a school, if you work now in an Anglo-Indian school where there used to be Anglo-Indian teachers, you know, going in their skirts and their, you know, coats and things like that and teaching. Today the principal insists that they wear saris. Now what can you do about it? You need a job.
The clothes, the identity was the Anglo-Indian ladies. They used to wear their dresses and skirts and all that. Now we wear what everybody else wears.
You know, in those days, I remember when I first came to Calcutta, I was very fond of dancing. I mean, there was the waltz, the foxtrot, the tango, you know, those sort of dances, which were more ladylike and silly, you know, rather than jumping around.
The Anglo-Indians used to run the best dances. It used to attract everybody to the dances. We had our own bands.
As a group known as the Beat Four and also with the Reactions, we were the Beat Four, the Phantoms, the Hellions and the Trojans. We used to do cover shots of the Beatles and Rolling Stones, and then switched over to Rolling Stones because we couldn't harmonize like the Beatles, and since we all sounded so guttural on stage, I thought the Rolling Stones would be better because Mick Jagger doesn't have a voice. Like he just kind of talks, you know, so...
This is the Railway Institute of Agra Kent, and besides being a railway institute, we used to have a snooker point playing, and all the dances used to be held here. The May Queen dance, the 31st dance, and weddings of the Anglo-Indians used to be held here. Those days it used to be red in color. The railway institute was red color.
We grew up watching our mums and dads and aunties and uncles dance, you know, and we were quite fascinated with it. So we also, you know, learnt how to dance, especially when we were growing up. So mommy knew that, you know, we have to go to the dance someday, you have to go to the dance. but we don't know how to dance. So, music would play in the house, the radio would play, and if something happened and something nice, some good music was playing, Mom would pick us up and teach us to dance, and we also learned the steps. And so we took it into the dance halls.
And they used to have the march right around this. And the wedding cake used to be right there, where the sofa set used to be there. The wedding thing, the couple sat there. And they used to enter from here.
There was good times in those days, old time. And why I say that, I think we had a large community, which is diminished now because people have married else out of the community and have moved out. I still have some Anglo Indian friends here, but now it's all, we just don't bother about it now. I think the Anglo Indians are a diminishing lot. It's sad, but that's the way it is. Right?
I don't think so. While people feel that yes, I mean the environment does play a very vital role, and that is the reason why we're able to change and allow for the changes to take place. But yet there are certain things which will remain, like the food that we eat at home, for example, or the dress we wear, the clothes we wear, or when you go for an Anglo Indian dance. These things will not change.
This is one of the very old bakeries, and people have been baking their cakes here for quite some time now. And it's the old Anglo Indian style of cakes that were made over here. Previously, an Anglo Indian would never take ready-made cakes. They would all come here with their entire stuff, and they would have it beaten, and the eggs beaten and the butter mixed and the flour and the fruits all mixed in front of them and then put into the oven.
I'll have that only now. I'll take that only. I mean, I'll take it on 23rd.
Now you get a very few Anglo Indians, but you will get mostly the mixed, the Bengali Christians.
The traditional cake making in my family, as I go back so many years to the time I was maybe 5-7 years old, I remember mom and dad baking cakes, getting the ingredients ready. Traditionally, they would cut it from the month of October and dry out the dried fruits. Then come December, they would take the cakes to the bakery where they would get it baked, and sometime on the 21st, 22nd, the cakes would be baked and brought home. That was a tradition which mom and dad continued for many, many years. After I got married, my wife, Reena, myself, my son's daughter, we've revived that tradition of making cakes, and for the last, 12 years or so, we actually go through that process again.
My dad was playing. It's the first time my dad plays as well, so I went and I enjoyed it. It was really nice. One of the best tournaments that I've played in Calcutta, like in the Anglo Indian.
Very intense, very fast,
Yeah.
very good quality. The quality was very good, very intense. Competition was stiff.
Yeah.
Quality was good.
This is part of a celebration. It's not, not to win something or to play. It's just to give
Take part
maybe
and get everyone
they
together.
They may get a crate of beers, or they may get, it's nothing, or a pound of cake or something like that. Cake. It's nothing like that. It's just to keep the thing
Keep
going,
everyone going and getting everyone together.
Part of the thing. This is the time of year when everybody comes together. Everyone comes together. You get friends coming from abroad, from here also. Everyone comes and it's part of the celebration. It's not winning or losing or anything else. Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
All done? Please.
The barracks community is one of the most closely integrated communities where Anglo Indians are concerned. So they're always together. Like you don't speak about any person from the barracks as one. You always say, oh, barracks boy.
So that is the closest you could get. Yeah. That's the closest you get to the Anglo Indian community.
Now this is a very important Anglo in our school.
It's a culture that you in home imbibe into your children.
Exactly. Yes.
And they will then take it through to the next generation. Like things we've learned are learned from our parents.
Yeah.
And we are following that. So now if our children see that, then they follow it into the next generation.
If I pass it down to my child, my child will carry it on.
Of course,
if we don't pass it on, they won't carry
They
it
may
on.
have to twist, change a few things because of the circumstances and the environment around them, but otherwise, it'll only be the food. And I won't say dress or thing, it's only the food,
right?
and a few traditions and not even culture. Culture's totally changed because they're looking at the environment around them. Uncle and I had been to France about 2-3 years ago, and we went to the shrine at Lourdes, and we had come. It was very cool. We'd come. There was a Sri Lankan restaurant there, so we came for lunch over there, and we both started. We were having nice hot curry and rice they were giving us when this couple, elderly couple, walked in, and that lady is telling the proprietor that where's your wife Lakshmi. So he said she's gone to the doctor. She says, no, I came yesterday and I placed an order. I told her, gave her my order for lunch. And she said, I told her I want fried fish, rice and pepper water. Now pepper water is also an Anglo-Indian dish. She said it, and she said it twice. As soon as she said it, I told Uncle, that's an Anglo-Indian. Nana ate and then gone to her room now.
Nana, I remember mostly for stuffing me with all this sweet stuff, like puddings, and I used to call it PU Ding Ding. So I used to go rushing from school and I used to scream, I want PU Ding Ding, I want PU Ding Ding. And she would make pudding and all that. And she's excellent at knitting. I mean, I still have some of the stuff she knitted for me. No, this is from, oh yeah. Remember, I've got a muffler of practically every color now. Thanks to Nana.
I learned long ago when I was only 10 years old knitting with broomsticks. And slowly started doing it with needles. And I love knitting baby sets. Baby sets are so sweet. I've knitted all my grandchildren's sets.
Typical Anglo stuff that I used to enjoy was stew and vindaloo, ball curry and rice.
Yellow rice.
Yeah.
Jungli pulao.
Fish fry. Jungli pulao. I love jungli pulao. It's like basically leftover curry and fresh vegetables and rice mix, and that's the jungli pulao.
Oh, she loves jungli pulao. And she was in school today and I phoned her and said, I made jungli pulao, I'm coming, she said.
Today Marissa made the ball curry. I went to school, so Marissa made it today. There are certain dishes like stew, ball curry and all these things. Every family seems to have their own variation on it. Now, I don't make the same stew as Nana makes. Nana makes it, I put in my own touches to the stew. So my stew is different from what Nana used to make when I was a child. So the same thing is going with the ball curry. I think I put in a little touches which Nana never put in, and she's sort of putting in something else, I think. Not that way, it means you're adding your own touch to it. Not in a bad way.
Yeah, one second.
You ask my son, he'll tell you.
What?
Not that mummy. Now your mummy is Balkan, you know.
I like your food, babe. I agree with her. It's not the same, but I like your food.
Oh yeah. Wait.
Today it's very difficult to explain basically identify ourselves separately from the other communities. So the only thing you can actually say which is your heritage, that we had a heritage from what. That's it. That is actually it right now to say. And the good part about that is at least we can say that we have a certain like what can I say, like certain traditions we still hold. So that's the only thing now we can actually identify ourselves is on the traditions.
At Christmas time, things that you would make, and the Christmas traditions of, the lunch on Christmas Day or dinner on Christmas Eve, all those things are there. And then when you get married, the traditions that you'd follow and things like that. So, I mean, that's where we kind of stand out. But to actually say that, to distinguish ourselves and broadly give a definition to ourselves that this is what we are and this is what an Anglo Indian is, now it's very difficult.
We had droves and droves of Anglo Indians living in Agra once upon a time, but we are slowly disappearing, vanishing community. But there are still a handful left. And we use this cemetery here to bury our loved ones, our near and dear ones. If you look at this grave over here, newly made, it has the ashes of my uncle who was living in England. My dad's cousin. He was born in India, born in Agra. Spent the best of his life in the UK. He was working at Manchester Airport. But strangely, he wanted his ashes to be back in India, back on his home ground. So we had a lovely funeral for him. When you look at today's children, they'd have no clue about the kind of games we played, the fun that we used to have, play cricket, girls versus boys, married versus unmarried cricket match. That's what we used to do. All the old uncles would come out, Christmas Day, maybe on the 26th, Boxing Day, have a match on 18 the Mall field. Everyone bring their own lunch, potluck lunch, have a good game. But there's hardly anyone left to make a cricket team, leave alone 2 teams now.
Christmas time. This is old. This is old. I'm saying something. I'm holding this now. Very bloody heavy. See that? We've been climbing, especially Christmas time, when all our cousins used to come. We used to play over here, house, take the cattails from the trees and make cook food. That's our food. That's our food and everything. That's only cattails and play over here.
When me and my wife and other elderly people get together and we talk about, our past and the fun we had, so she listens. They're trying to regenerate, recreate those happy moments, and even though there's just a few of us left over here, they are bonding, they're gelling, okay, and trying to get close together again and have as much fun as possible and do as much good as possible. So before Christmas came, they did such a lot of wonderful things, really reached out, went here, went there, not individually, but as a group of Anglo Indian young people, helping, reaching out. The most touching thing of all was, they went to every single elderly Anglo Indian person over here, those who were sick and lonely, and spent quality time with them.
How have you been? Fine. So long.
I guess she called.
She said that she would come, but Rochelle will probably she'll be a little late. Okay.
Alright.
Actually, what happened was we had come up with the whole idea of meeting all the elderly people, but last month we did everyone in 1 month, just to meet up everyone before Christmas. Now this year, what we're going to do is we'll meet like one person a month.
Day by day, we can see our children getting fewer. I'll just give you a very small example. On the 23rd of December, we had our annual Christmas get-together, a big dance, a Christmas tree for the children. And the thing which really shook me up that day was when we were having games for the little kids, we usually put them in different age groups. So when we called out, kids from 0 to 3, there was not a single Anglo-Indian child to participate in that race, on that game. Until last year, there were 5, 6 in each age group. This year, there was none. So then it really, really got me thinking, and alarm bells ringing like, what's happened? Where have they gone? And what's going to happen? Next year, we might not have a Christmas tree. So when you think of these things, it's depressing, it's sad. And then it's just left with memories after that.
The Anglo-Indian community would come alive at about this time of the year, that's Christmas and New Year's, where growing up in Calcutta was a wonderful experience because with so many Anglo-Indian families, we would go visiting, especially after Christmas, to my cousins' places, then friends, and the joy it gave one in growing up, it was a very nice feeling inside.
Oh, Christmas was, I mean, it was really Christmas then, with all the balloons and the whistles and the road being decorated and things like that. It was really fantastic. But time tells. I suppose it's difficult really now to...
Oh! Merry Christmas! Oh!
My generation experienced the old way of life, but this generation is not as though, I wouldn't say that every Anglo-Indian child today doesn't have an experience of the dances and the food and the culture. They do get an exposure to that, but it's comparatively less to what we experience. Many of these again, associations or, as you say, groups, they do provide, if not a very large amount, but they do provide some amount of assistance to some people in the community who need it. They also organize things like Christmas trees and programs for the old during Christmas. For instance, they have little Christmas parties for people in the homes or senior citizens, and that again binds them together because many of these elderly people they don't get a chance to attend any social events otherwise.
1 and 3, 13, 8 and 5, 85, 1 and 5, 15.
I saw it coming in the 70s, early 70s, when the Anglo-Indians started moving out, when they started migrating en masse. I think by the end of the 60s, early 70s, most of them had moved out. And the ones who had stayed here have got married and moved away. And we have very, very few now compared to what we were before. I've been told that the Anglo-Indians were about a lakh and a half at turn of independence, but I don't know the figures. But when you told me that there was a large Anglo-Indian population in Calcutta, I was quite taken aback because I really thought that the Anglo-Indians were no more in Cal. And when you mentioned that there was a large community still there, it's got me thinking that in Delhi I think we've diminished. Very few of us. And in Delhi now the Anglo-Indian friends that I have is about Literally 1 or 2 families. That's it. So there's been a big change. Delhi in the early 60s. Huh? Rivoli Cinema, 9:30 shows on Friday. Elvis movies on a Sunday morning, which was a reduced rates. The Alps restaurant, Ram Gopal and Sons for my magazines and books. India Gate at night and ice cream. Qualities, Kasata ice cream. The Milpa opposite Sindhi House, Connaught Place, and the various characters that hung around there. Eric Martin and his countless stories. The paper seller who used a crutch and spoke with an American accent. Some said that he lived there briefly, and the many restaurants with live music, pound parties. Above all, the many friends and others who were part of the community and fantastic times.
Come, little Ammu. This one is a very, very old picture of, the Anglo Indian Association committee members. And if I right, I think the backdrop is St. George's School, St. George's High School in the olden days. So you can see how we in Agra over here, we make it a point at least once a month to gather as a group, as a body, okay? And it's not about singing and dancing all the time. We have different functions every month, at which the young people come, the kids come, the youth come, the elderly people come. So we mix, we mingle, and hopefully the young ones are watching and they will emulate and just carry on with the traditions that they see happening in the present, which we ourselves learnt in the past, doing now, and we leave it to these kids who are growing up to carry on with the seeds we are sowing at the moment. So it's only our hope. It's just a hope, and we wish that they will do so.
No, the Anglo Indian culture is very, very, very much alive today. I know in my house I keep my culture going, and I hope that I can till the day I die. Everything is there. We try to interact and have a show and have a Christmas tree, and now this will also finish. That's why Louis Alberts keeps time and again telling the younger generation, come, pick up from us.
The way to make them hot. They want to see him climb the air. He charges you with nickels and shiny shoes. He makes the oldest leather kind of look like new. You feel as though you want to dance when he gets through. Well, he's a great big bundle of joy. Give out the boogie boogie rag, the Chattanooga. The Chattanooga shoeshine boy. That is a song of my son.
What is impacting the Anglo Indians in society is their outlook. They have begun to look at professions, they have begun to look at employment, they have begun to look at life differently because they no longer depend on the identity of being an Anglo Indian to survive. They are looking at their own individuality, their own talents, their own skills. And while for a period of time the Anglo Indians felt that one needn't have had an education, they looked up class 10, class 11, and that was sufficient to get a job. But today their aspirations have changed.
We have a forum in one of our AGMs where the youth particularly, they're divided into two parts, the school-going part and the ones that have finished college and those who are working. So two forums are there. The ones that are in school, they will talk about studies and their aims and, how much they want to reach out to the stars, like, wanting to do things. And they all have a dream.
अब आप यहाँ पे बेस्ड आउट हैं
Concern is the intermarriage sort of thing. This intermarriage that they keep asking them the same questions. If you fall in love with a non-Anglo Indian, what do you feel and what do your parents feel? You know.
This part of it has to come from within. Now, if you ask me, yes, I'll take a point. It's a marriage prospect, yes. I would want an Anglo. Because I know I can gel with that person. I know I can get along because we've had the same upbringing. Right. And I know my kids will get the same thing. But if I'm not going to get it, then I just got to settle for whatever I get. Or if I fall in love, then fair enough, I can't change it.
The only concern I would say would be that if you're a female marrying an outsider, non-Anglo, then your child is not considered an Anglo.
The question that came up in the AGM,
But
we are
rule should
registered
be
on the
amended.
Constitution on these grounds.
No, but then
it cannot be changed. For this, there has to be a parliamentary. change.
Earlier, most Anglos used to marry within the community,
Yeah.
but now it's not there anymore. Isn't it? Yeah.
Back then, in these compounds, in this compound probably there were like 5 male members. On the other compound there were around about like 8 female members. Yeah.
So somebody
you
would
can
have
still
hooked
count
up with
on over
someone.
there. Now if you think about, is there a girl over there in that other compound? You'll keep finding, you won't find any. So what do? Whoever's there, and if it really clicks, so you really can't blame the person.
It's important that we just cling on to our culture. Look at the Parsis. Okay? Look at them. It's now, their population has become a point of concern for the government, for everybody, for themselves as a community. And therefore, they're trying their best to revive and to increase the number of Parsis. They're giving them incentives to marry among the community and to continue the tradition. So I think the same should be with us.
Are you sure this is the key? It depends on the person or the couple concerned. Paki and I are a cocktail couple like that, so but we do our own thing, and I think there's been a certain amount of melange or mixing, but there's still a very clear ability to go back to my roots in that sense. And we have friends from both communities. I think I'm still reasonably Anglo Indian in every respect. She's the one who's actually the stable one. I'm the unstable, typical Anglo Indian. Don't go after tomorrow. That's me.
If I'm from Sydney, my wife's from Sydney, Australia. I'm from Calcutta. That's his sister Thelma, Pamela. My brother Ivan. Just moved back to India from London.
Getting to, I grew up here. I've played all my games on this very road, I've broken my bones here and I've done everything in this Bow Barracks.
Everybody tells her she's the most beautiful woman they know. You're in love with a beautiful woman. What's your phrase?
What I feel, it's the way of life. It's not just changing. It's also evolving to kind of adjust with the times, and it doesn't show the Anglo Indian community dying out. It just shows them adapting. It shows them surviving, because in spite of all the changes which you see, if you just look around the city, especially at Christmas time, you find that dances are still happening. Maybe there are a lesser number of people attending, but at the same time they are attending it. Some of them make it a point to attend it because that's their way of connecting with the culture. Some people, maybe the whole year they would not be able to make a lot of Anglo Indian dishes, but definitely during Christmas time they'll try to make at least 1 or 2 dishes. That's their way of connecting. Families get together, that's their way of connecting with each other. So in spite of all the changes and all the modernization and erosion of culture which is happening, they're still trying. And the fact that they're still trying, that shows that they're going to survive.